Efento Transport, Advanced Configuration. Efento Transport can be downloaded free of charge from Google Play. After installing it, go to Further Configuration. Configuration of email account. An email account is used in the application to send automatic reports and email notifications. You can use any email account, for example, your company's email. If you do not have an email account, create a free Google account for your device. A Google account can be created at www.gmail.com. Note the created login and password, as they will be needed for further configuration. If you want to use your Google account, after creating it, go to Account Settings, then to Sign In and Security, and enable the option Allow Less Secure Apps. In order to finish configuration of an email account, run Efento Transport and open the menu by tapping on the Efento logo in the upper left corner of the screen. Then go to Settings, Email Account Configuration. You will see a configuration pop-up window. If you are using a different email account than Google, you will need to fill in all server parameters according to the server you use. If you use a Google account, all you need to fill in is the email address and password you obtained while creating your Google account. After entering the data, tap on the Test Login Information button. If all fields have been filled in correctly, you will see a prompt saying Login Correct. Tap OK to apply the configuration. Configuration of automatic reports and notification recipients. Automatic reports and notification settings. The next configuration step is to configure the email address of automatic reports and notifications recipients. To do so, tap on the Efento logo in the upper left corner of the main screen. Then go to Settings, Notifications. To configure which email address will receive automatic reports after finishing a route, go to Export Email Address. In the pop-up window, type in the email address you wish to receive automatic reports. Save changes with the OK button. Next, tap Automatic Export Type and choose the form of the automatic report, PDF or CSV. The application also allows you to configure text messages or email notifications about happenings such as violation of alarm threshold, violation of intervention threshold, and loss of connection. In order to add a notification recipient, go to the main menu by tapping the Efento logo in the upper left corner of the main screen, and then go to Settings, Notifications, Notifications. To add a new recipient's email address or telephone number, tap the plus button in the upper right corner of the screen and then choose Type of Notification and type in the email address or telephone number. Save changes by tapping the OK button. The new recipient will now appear in the recipients list. To configure which alert shall be sent to a recipient, tap his or her number or email address in the list and mark the checkbox next to the events that shall initiate sending a notification. Tap the recipient again to save the changes. By default, only notifications about alarm threshold violation will be sent. In order to delete a recipient, press and hold his or her number or email address on the list and tap the deleting icon on the bar above the list. Warning: if you want to send text message notifications, it is necessary to use a mobile device with a SIM card capable of sending text messages. If you want to send email notifications, then the device must be connected to the Internet and have an email account configured. Configuration of an email account was presented at the beginning of this video. The next configuration step is warning screen settings. The warning screen informs the user about alarm and intervention threshold violations. In case of threshold violations, the smartphone screen will turn on automatically and a sound alarm with rising volume will be enabled. The application allows you to configure a warning screen reminder. If the temperature has not gone back to the safe range after a certain period of time, the warning screen will be enabled again. In order to change the warning screen reminder time period, go to the main menu by tapping the Efento logo in the upper left corner of the main screen, and then go to Settings, Notifications, Warning Screen Reminder. From the pop-up list, choose the time period after which the warning screen will be enabled again. If you want to check current measurements of sensors connected to the smartphone running Efento Transport, send the text message Efento to its number. If the status text message function was enabled on that smartphone, you will receive a return message with current measurements of all sensors connected to that smartphone. This function is enabled by default. You can turn it off and on by going to Main Menu, then to Settings, Notifications. By tapping the field Enable Status Text Messages, you enable or disable sending return text messages. The check mark next to that field indicates that the function is enabled. Adding sensors. After starting Efento Transport, you will see the main screen with a list of 3 slots: Trailer, Refrigerator 1, and Refrigerator 2. In order to add a sensor to a selected slot, tap the slot and wait a few seconds while the application finds all sensors within the smartphone's range. Tap the sensor you wish to add to the selected slot. Each sensor can be assigned to only one slot, therefore you will not find it on the list again. Slot settings. The application allows you to add any number of slots measuring the temperature during transport to the list displayed on the main screen. Additionally, it is possible to set a different name and different intervention and alarm threshold for each slot. In order to edit a selected slot, go to the main menu by tapping the Efento logo in the upper left corner of the main screen and then Sensors. You will see a list of already created slots and their names, thresholds, and offset, which is the difference between the intervention and alarm threshold. In order to edit the selected slot, tap it and in the pop-up window change its name or threshold settings. Save changes with the OK button. To add a new slot, tap the Add button and then tap the created slot on the list to edit its settings. To delete a slot, press and hold it on the list. Save the changes with the Done button. Violation of thresholds will enable the sound and optical alarm. In order to confirm the alarm, the user must press and hold a red button on the screen. For safety reasons, the sound alarm starts with a low volume and grows louder in time. Alarm thresholds are lower limits and upper limits. Violation of alarm thresholds results in highlighting the sensor on the list in yellow until the temperature gets back into a safe range. Intervention thresholds are lower limits minus alarm offset and upper limits plus alarm offset. Violation of intervention thresholds results in a highlighting of the sensor on the list in red until the temperature gets back to a safe range. Violation of alarm and intervention thresholds will be registered in the report from the root. Data storage. Each sensor measures the temperature every 3 minutes and sends it wirelessly to the smartphone connected to it. Additionally, each sensor is equipped with a memory which can store up to 28,000 measurements. In case of temporary connection loss, the missing data will be automatically sent to the smartphone after the connection is restored. The data from already ended routes is also stored in the smartphone's memory and can be browsed and exported at any time. The application allows you to configure report and data storage settings. In order to do so, open the main menu by tapping the Efento logo in the upper left corner of the main screen and then go to Settings, Data Storage. The first feature you can configure there is measurement frequency. In order to change it, tap the Measure Frequency field and choose New Frequency. Next, you can configure the scope of the chart. After selecting the sensor from the list of available devices, you can browse its measurements in the form of a chart. The application shows the chart from a specified route. In order to change the time period displayed on the chart, tap Chart Time Frame and choose a new period. Another configurable feature is data storing. By default, the application saves data from the last 30 days. All historical routes are visible in the application, and it is possible to check temperature measurements, check the number of threshold violations, and export data in the form of a report. In order to check the data storage period, tap Storing Period. We do not recommend you choose the options 365 days or infinite. because in cases of long-time use, doing so might significantly slow the device you use. Security. Access to some of the application features can be protected with a password. As a result, application users will not be able to make unwanted changes in configuration or end a route in case of missing measurements. In order to go to Security Configuration, tap the Efento logo in the upper left corner of the main screen and then go to Settings, Security. There you will be able to configure the following security features. Settings Password. Required to enter application settings. By default, this password is disabled. In order to change it, tap Settings, Password. Type in a new password twice and save changes by tapping OK. Sensor Change Password. Required to add or delete a sensor. By default, this password is disabled. In order to change it, tap Add Delete Sensor Password. Type in a new password twice and save changes by tapping OK. Service Code. The application will not allow you to finish a route if there are measurements missing. In case of missing measurements, pressing the Finish Route button will display a prompt with information about the missing data. If for some reason the user still wants to finish the route, for example, if a sensor has been lost or damaged, it will be necessary to key in a random part of the service code, for example, first, third, fifth, and ninth number of the code. By default, the service code is set to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In order to change it, tap Service Code, key in the old service code, default 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then a new one twice. Save the changes with the OK button. The Efento Transport can work as a so-called launcher, which means it will be the main screen of the Android operating system. The moment you turn the device on, the application will start automatically, and it will be impossible to close it or turn it off. To set Efento Transport as the launcher, after installing it, tap on the Home button on the central bottom part of your screen. That is, the huge physical button on the bottom of the device or Home symbol on the screen. You will then be asked to choose the main screen. Choose Efento Transport and then tap Always. Prevention of accessing system settings. Starting another application. If you want the user to use the smartphone with Efento Transport only to monitor the temperature, go to Settings and then to Security and enable the option Prevent Application Exit. This function requires enabling the Android function called Accessibility. In order to enable it, go to the Smartphone Settings, then go to the Accessibility tab and enable Function Accessibility.